lovely to meet you.
Hello, Ellie. Nice to meet you too, and thank you for inviting me here for the show.
You're very welcome. It's our pleasure to have you on. So I thought we'd just get started by finding a bit more about your background as a violinist. So my first question is, when and why did you decide to start playing the violin?
So, I come from a very musical family. So, my great grandfather was the first trombone of NBC in New York, and my mother was the pianist teacher of the academy in my city. I always want to start to play because I listen music every day. My mom, there is a we listen music every day, but my mother always postponed to let me start to play the violin. And then at some point, when I was 9, I woke up in the morning and said, I want to play. I did a hunger strike to convince her. And then she, in that moment, realized that I really want to play the violin. Because as a teacher, like we know that to start to play an instrument, you need to be very committed. And then she was waiting for me to start to play in a good way. And then from that moment, I always practice every day, and I start to love it.
That's wonderful. And I like how you didn't give up no matter what your mom was saying.
Yeah.
So my next question is, what is your first memory of playing the violin?
So, when I started, as I told you, I was very committed. I was in love with my violin. I treated it like a little son, little brother, a son. And then I practice 1-2 hours per day, every day. I never stop. So after 2 years, my parents saw me very committed. And then after advice on my first teacher, they made a big investment on me. So they bought a very important violin. So I passed from a small violin to my first full-size violin. That was a very important violin. Was the dad of my first teacher was a famous luthier, is a violin maker on my city, and then they bought for me this violin that is like a Ferrari in a hand of someone who just started to drive a car.
Oh, wow.
So I was very emotional. I remember that moment, and then it grew up with me. That violin was yeah.
So tell me a bit more about your journey becoming a concertmaster back in your native city.
So as I started at 9, after just few years, I started to play concerts with different orchestras, to play like recital, and then I was always the youngest. So all my colleagues were 10, 15 years older than me. I played a lot, and then at some point, the second most important orchestra of my city made an audition, so I was participating, and then I felt that I had to play in the best way possible. So when I started to play this audition, I was playing Wieniawski violin concerto. That was one of the most difficult pieces for violin. And then when I started, I immediately felt a magic moment. So that was very emotional. And then I was first in the audition, and then had the opportunity to join as a concertmaster with this orchestra.
And how did you react when you found out that this opportunity was coming to you?
I was really surprised. I was feeling like in a dream
Oh.
because I didn't expect it, because I was the youngest one.
Yeah.
So, and then I started to play in this orchestra for a few years, and then I really enjoyed it because it was very nice orchestra.
And you won a lot of music competitions back when you were working in Italy. Do you have like a particularly memorable or standout moment from those competitions?
Yes, absolutely. So, as I told you before, my parents bought for me a violin, and then they bought also a very important bow, because to play violin you need a bow. And then at some point, my bow unfortunately dead. I mean, was broken. So I say dead because for me, violin and bow is like people. So like they have a soul. And then when the bow was broken, I was feeling like destroyed. So, and then I just was lent a cheap bow to play, and there was this competition that who won the competition was winning an important bow from Cremona, that is like the city of the violins of the music. And then I was playing for the cheap bow, the same piece that I played for the audition of the orchestra, Wieniawski Violin Concerto number 2. And then I was first. And then I got the bow that I still play now after 13 years.
That is amazing, because you won two things out of that. Not only did you win the competition, but you
Yeah.
won the bow.
Yeah, that was very emotional, very emotional.
And for how long were you entering these competitions? Like, for how many years?
In Italy, I mean, like at the first moment I started to play concerts, I always felt I was always a guy that I liked challenges in life. So I always liked to compete. And then I was starting to make competition when I was 15 already.
Yeah.
And then I was just did it for probably 10 years, you know, couple, yeah, 9, 10 years. Yeah, I was participating. Yeah.
That must have been a really memorable moment of your life and your career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you moved to London to study with the legendary Professor Hu Kun at the Royal Academy of Music. And what was that experience like? And I guess, how did it come about?
So it come that in Naples, I was playing as a concertmaster, I was teaching in a school, I had like a good life, but I want to challenge myself more. So I was lucky enough to have a brother who was working as a doctor in Imperial College, and then he had the opportunity to host me for free. So he said to me like, if you want this challenge, just I host you, so you can come here. And then I was looking for like the most inspiring violinist of London. So I found this professor that he was the longest pupil of Sir Ehud Emanuel, that is like one of the most important violinists in history. So he taught me first, before playing, he taught me to learn about everything about the composer who composed the piece, then the reason why I compose it, and then also study the structure and the harmony of everything before playing. Because he taught me that it's important to have already an idea, mentally idea of what you are playing. And then after, when you know everything about what you are going to practice for the first time, you can practice. Because you will be much more confident and convincing when you play the piece.
Absolutely, and that's the thing about composition. There are so many different elements to it, and I think a lot of people who haven't played instruments or haven't tried composing, they don't quite know that. It's not just as simple as, oh, I'm going to create a melody. So much more to it than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, you became the leader of the London Art Chamber Orchestra. Tell me a bit more about that experience and how it came about.
That's another emotionally adventure of my life. So I was studying with it. After studying a couple of years, I started to play in orchestras, and one of my friends, we say in London we say DEP. So I was a DEP of this violinist, and then I went to play in China for 1 month of concerts. So I was playing in this orchestra as a second violin, and then I was doing my best. I was very passionate. So the conductor saw me very passionate, and then for the next concert in London, he started to try me as a first violinist, and then after that he said to me like, why you don't try to do concertmaster? I was extremely excited. And then when I did this concert, it was another magic moment of my life. I was very powerful, emotional. It's in Trafalgar Square, it's St. Giles in the Fields, and then that was another one of the most emotional, memorable moment of my life. So, and then I start to play, and then that's it. So
I can imagine that, yeah, that moment was very pivotal for you in your career. And I heard that during that time was actually when you really started to compose. And what made you decide to start creating and composing your own music?
So about composition, I believe this is the most emotional experience of my life, because it's like I was reborn when I started to compose. It was the pandemic period. I was far from concerts for more than 1 month. That was the first time in my life I was not playing for more than 1 month. It was extremely. I felt a bit empty, a bit like in a different world because music is all my life. And at some point, I was trying to play, I was practicing, but I felt like, oh, what can I do? Because I'm not playing, so I'm not satisfied. And at some point, I felt like very emotional inside. I was at some point I was very connected with myself, and then in Italian we say presa di coscienza, so it's awareness. It's like I had a deep connection with my inner body, and then for the first time I had a melody in my mind, suddenly like a bolt. So I was a bit like I don't know, like
Like a light bulb moment.
yeah.
The light bulb goes off.
Absolutely, it's like I felt like outside of the body, like was like crazy.
Wow.
Say, what is this? Like, so I took the violin. I tried to play this melody. I said like, oh, it looks like a melody. Sounds like a melody. So I said to myself, let me take the phone, let me record. So I play the melody, and then I close my eyes, and I keep playing. I keep playing. I did my first improvisation. I never did improvisation in my life until that moment. And then after recording it, listen to the piece, say, wow, this is a piece. So that was my first composition come out. That is called Catharsis Mine, means my catharsis.
Yeah.
So my awareness, my connection, my reborn, my spiritual reborn, actually.
That's beautiful. And so, did you create the entire piece like in that moment?
Yeah, that was very emotional. I made the piece straight as it is. Then after, with this piece, I had important recognition, rewardings. Yeah.
Mm. I think that's really beautiful that you left the piece in its original form and didn't, go and change it and adapt it and master it.
Well, actually, from the improvisation, I just clean it, the rhythm, the some little notes, but the 95% of the piece immediately come out as I felt in that moment.
That's so much better because you really maintain the authenticity of the
Yes,
raw emotions
yes.
that you're feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And your original compositions actually led to you winning first prize in the international composition competition. Tell me if I'm pronouncing this wrongly, but Premio Metasanino
Metastasio. Yeah.
in Italy. And tell me more about this winning piece.
So after a few years, I started to compose. I was making string quartet. I was making pieces for orchestras. I was composing more things that was also played with colleagues and then stuff. Then at some point, I saw this competition in Italy. I said like, wow, it's open to every age, every composition. I said, this is my competition. I need to participate. So that was the first time I was participating in a competition for composers.
Yeah.
So I was feeling to to participate with some quartet, something more complicated. But then I said to myself, why not participate with my first composition?
The one which you just told
That
me about.
one that I was told you before.
Oh my gosh.
And then usually when you participate in competition for compositions, you don't participate with solo instrument composition because it's not enough complex, not enough difficult, no, because you need to show that you can compose harmony and stuff like.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, I don't care. I just want to participate because that was my first time I was composing, and then how I start this beautiful and fascinating journey of my life. So and then I participated, and then actually I won. So
You didn't need all the additions and all of that. You just went in with it as it was, which I think is fantastic.
I believe that this piece really got the heart of the judge panel. So because sometimes in music you can feel the real experience of the composers.
Absolutely.
So
And they can tell.
yeah.
Actually, I was just wondering, like, with the competitions, like, what is the logistical process? So, do you submit your pieces or do you play them live in front of the panel?
You send a lot of stuff. So you send first the score because they need to read, they need to see how is composed, in what way, the structure and technically. Then you can send also an audio of the composition, and then in my case, because was my violin composition, I send me playing it, so to show also the how the musically phrases were going, so the colors, the sound, and then I think that also helped a lot because they can read the notes in a different way after listening me playing it. Yeah.
My next question for you is, do you have like a process for when you're composing, and if so, what is it, or is it just something that kind of happens more spontaneously?
So following my first composition, I said to myself better to when I start to compose, when I compose, to follow the emotion. So when I get a strong emotions, I immediately take the violin and do improvisation. So that should be like the 60-70% of the composition. Sometimes 8, sometimes 90. So, but I prefer to follow my emotions. I rarely compose in a just technically. Yeah, I prefer to feeling my emotions, my vibes, and my feelings, or the inspiration. So, and then after I did this improvisation, then I compose with my MacBook. I just clean it. I add instruments. I make parts, but should come after the improvisation usually.
I guess the improvisation is the core of the piece.
Absolutely, that's it.
And do you ever get moments where, I don't know, for example, you're on the bus and then you feel a strong emotion and then you're like, I must rush home and compose something? Like, has that happened before?
I take the violin and I play everywhere I am. I don't care where I am, because if I have an improvisation, if I have an inspiration, I need to immediately write down. Otherwise, I lose the moment and I lose the piece. So more times happened that I couldn't play, I couldn't write it down, and then I lost a potential piece that could be very beautiful, no? And so most of the times I just take the violin everywhere I am.
Do you have any specific themes that come up, or kind of specific themes or emotions that you write about, compose about more often than others?
Depend of the period of my life. Let's say like for the first 2 years, first year to second year, I always like to compose minor, melodic, and then kind of sad, not sad, like emotional pieces. Then for a long period, I was composing most of the times major and happy music. So, but yeah, I like to do different. I don't have an own style. I like to do very various music that now can be major, minor, can be like fast, slow, brilliant, sad, emotional. Depends of the, yeah.
Because I think it's really nice to have a variety, and also I guess when you're listening back to the music, it's almost like a diary or a reflection.
Absolutely. That's actually very emotional situation because I listen sometimes. I play some conversation, and I remember that period of my life that it's me, but it's not me. It's a different person because we change every day, so we change every year. So it's like wow. So I remember the exactly image that was in the moment that I was playing it for the first time, the same piece, and then it's funny. I mean, like it's nice. It's interesting. So, but now I'm a different person, so I can just remember it.
And you've collaborated with the agency Giardino Strings, where you play in events with different styles of music, such as Irish or Bollywood, and pop as well. And what was it like playing styles which were, I guess, quite different to what you were used to? And was it challenging?
Yeah, actually, Giardino Strings is an important agency, one of the most important agencies in UK that helped me a lot because before pandemic, David Giardino, that is the boss of the agency, he has this agency for the last 30 years. So he came to listen my concert. I was playing as a solo violin, Bach double violin concert in St. Giles and the Fields for London Art Chamber Orchestra. And then after the concert, he came to me and said like, "Oh, do you want to join the agency?" It's like, I need a violinist because I have a lot of events. And then I was like at the beginning, yes or not, because I usually did only concerts in my life. But then I liked the idea, and then I started to play with him, and then he taught me to play these new styles because I was playing at the beginning pop in a classical way,
Yeah.
and it didn't work. So he taught me how to play pop as a pop and then I learned that for every song I play, every style, I need to listen the singer and try to play as I am a singer. So usually I study the way that singer sings. So for example, I also play recently. I was asked to play Drake.
No way.
I was asked to play rap. So I play with the violin. I play rap music. So it takes long because Drake sing in a different way. So I need to make a lot of rhythm. So rap is most of the times made of the same notes. So but in a different rhythm. So you need to think that you are speaking, you are singing the words, and then with the violin, then it was successful. So people were singing on me playing Drake because they were know the words. But mainly I do Bollywood music. I really love Bollywood music. So I was playing for the first time 4 years ago this beautiful song called Tujhe Kitna. And when I played, I felt like another moment of my life that I wasn't connected with my inner body and was very emotional. So, and then after that song, I started to learn more songs, and then I have a big repertoire now of Bollywood. But also Irish, I did just 2 days ago an Irish event for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, tell me more.
I played around 20 gigs of Irish. And then it's exciting because Irish music is different because it's made, everything is super fast, super brilliant, super like energetic. So you need to sleep a lot before playing Irish because you need to have a lot of energy.
A lot of caffeine.
Yes, so yeah, that's good. Actually, I really enjoyed it. And then I'll post in my Instagram very soon some of the videos of Irish.
Yeah. Forward to seeing that. So would you say that Bollywood is your favorite alternative style of music?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So also because from actually the last 4 years, I started to play with this incredible singer called Medha Krishna.
Yes.
So I believe that she has one of the most beautiful voice because she can play Bollywood, she can play pop, she can play classical, but she can have like a variety of voice from the highest notes to the lower notes. So it's very talented, and then it's very inspiring to play with her. And then we are making a duo, and then we did already a few concerts, and yeah, actually, it's beautiful to play with her. Bollywood and also Hindi music because she sings also Hindi music.
Yeah, her latest single Anjana is absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you've heard it.
Yes, I played it with her in a concert before come out. So I played, and also with Patrick, the guitar player. So we are going to plan to make to play all together
For a
because
live gig. Oh.
yeah, live gig, concerts, all the stuff. So
Stay tuned because
yeah,
we will be posting updates on that.
absolutely,
Very
absolutely.
exciting. How did you and Medha actually get connected as musicians?
So she heard me playing and contacted me to join to her musical video, and then we had a rehearsal. Immediately felt connected very well because, and then I was recording in Metropolis studio, and after that we start to rehearse more and make more music, improvising, creating music with her songs, with my composition all together, and then that was very good connection. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that as musicians, often you just have that kind of musical chemistry with someone. You know whether or not you're going to be able to make music together.
Absolutely.
And how do your collaborations just with musicians in general tend to come about? Like, obviously we're now living in a very digital age, so do you ever have moments where like you reach out to people on Instagram or they reach out to you in that way?
Usually I have this. I actually, apart Giardino Strings, I work also for Anchor musicians, That's like the biggest UK website for musicians, gigs and stuff. So in that website, I have all my videos, my photos, my events, my stuff. So people saw me there, usually contact me also through Instagram, through social media, through friends. Usually colleagues call me. Usually they're like, I dep you, you dep me. Dep means I play instead of you. So dep is like classical music term that I use. So someone cannot do the gig, call me, and then I call him or her if she can't, if I can't, and that's it. So that's it. Yeah.
And it's just such a good way to also just discover new musicians and, you know, really get connected with the London music scene, which I'm sure is massive.
Yeah, London is massive, so there is so many musicians. So I know a lot of musicians, but there is always sometimes someone that is outside of my network. So I was surprised. Yes, because London is big. So and then there is also musicians who come, who left. So sometimes it's a change. But I prefer to stay for the last 10 years. I really enjoy.
That brings me on to the next thing I was wondering, which is how would you say the classical music scene as a musician compares in London to Naples?
So actually, now I need to talk more about my city because
Yes.
Naples is, I think, one of the most beautiful city in the world. Is very passionate. You can hear love for life in every corner of the city, but it's a bit not very disciplined city. So when you play in orchestra, when you play concert, when you go to listen concerts in Napoli, you will always come out in love for music, but is a bit not very strict in terms of we when do rehearsal. Sometimes you are late, I'm late. It's okay. We can play after we play. We finish at 9, but we finish at 9:30. We start at 7, but we start at 7:30. It's like not very clear, so not very organized. In London is the opposite. So you need to be there 15 minutes in advance because the rehearsal start exactly on the time, and then you finish exactly or earlier, never later. So, but that's is much better for me because I can rely much more, and then I can organize everything after or before. In Naples, it's not very organized. That's it. But I prefer London because the level of the musicians are much as the highest in the world. So it's very challenging and very inspiring because every time you need to be very super prepared. So even one notes that you didn't prepare can make a difference, and you feel guilty or ashamed that you are not good. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because London is such a global city. It does attract people from absolutely everywhere.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you've been teaching at the Blackheath Conservatoire for a little while. Tell me a bit more about that.
As again, I told you, I was dapping a friend of mine that was recommending me there 5 years ago, and then I started to teach there, and then it's very nice because in that school, in that academy, in that conservatoire, is people are very full of enthusiasm. Teachers, parents, children, you can feel the love for music. And then I started to teach there, and I had a lot of students, but I like to say, as usually say to my students, that it's important to practice every day.
Yeah.
Because I was taught from one of my teachers that if you don't practice one day, you lose 1 week. If you don't practice today, you lose 1 month. So if you after 2 days you don't practice, you need another 1 month more of your life to try to get it. So, and then that's my motto. That's it. So that's nice. Yeah.
And what kind of age range or demographic do you teach typically?
From 5 to 80.
Oh my gosh! So you've really seen such
Yes,
a
diverse. Yeah.
And do you have like a memorable student story or moment that you can share with us?
Yes. So actually, for me, every students are important because everyone has a different life, different education, different story. But lately, I got a private student that I really care about. So I can feel like me young. He looks like me, full of passion for music. So I decided to teach him and bring him to most of my gigs and concerts. He's coming to help me to listen the concert, to learn. So, for example, yesterday I was playing an immense, beautiful masterpiece of music of Haydn, the Creation, for choir and orchestra. And then he was coming there with me and study the part of the violins, learn. Just like I think that he can be very good in the future. So because I would have always liked some teachers who bring me and teach me everything. Yeah.
Like a mentor.
Yeah, as a mentor, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And is that like something which you do? Do you teach there like on a regular basis, or is it like a part-time thing?
It should be. They offer me many times to be like every week, every Tuesday, every month. But I prefer to be flexible because I never like constriction. I like to be free.
Yeah.
Because, for example, they call me to play an important gig in Manchester the day before to the day after, and then I need to be free to go there
Yeah.
or everywhere. So, and then, for example, one day I want to like focus on something, on composition, and then I had inspiration. You know, I cannot be committed too much with work life. So I prefer to be free. So I teach. I mean, like part time, kind of part time. Yeah.
I think it's important to have that flexibility because you like you said, you never know what's going to come up. And
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's say I live music 24 hours per day. So that's my life, my work. So even when I sleep, I think about notes to play the day after. So it's like, yeah.
yeah, you have to allow for that. Actually, like kind of speaking about like things coming up unexpectedly or potentially things that are far away. What's your favorite city or country that you've played in other than England and Italy?
Apart China, that was incredibly different culture. So I played in this big theater with these friends. No one was speaking English in these small cities. Was feeling like in another world.
Yeah.
But then I had an important, beautiful memory that I played in Bratislava in Slovakia. I was playing with one of my favorite actor of my teenagerhood, John Malkovich. So I was playing with John Malkovich. He was just doing like with the orchestra. He was doing a monologue, and we were creating a kind of movie music with him speaking. So it was very emotional because I also told him after, you were my favorite actor when I was young, and then he told me, only when you were young. I'm not anymore your favorite actor. So it was a nice moment, but yeah. That was also nice.
That
Yeah.
must have been very surreal that you grew up looking up to him and now you're working with him.
Absolutely, that was very emotional.
And the next thing I want to ask you, this will probably be quite difficult for you to answer, but do you have a highlight of your career so far? And if yes, what is it?
Absolutely have an highlight. That's 100% on the top one.
Yeah.
So it's about my compositions. So I was going to play in Cambridge Cathedral, Ely Cathedral. It's like the cathedral of biggest cathedral in Cambridgeshire. So I was going to play in a string quartet with a very important violinist called Yuri Revich. That he called me to play as a first violin for his composition. That is like a very important violin. So he play a bit everywhere in the world. He also has a Stradivari that costs £10 million. It's an instrument. Violin who costs £10 million. So he called me to play with him, and then I was very honored. And the organizer of the concert, actually, Yuri was very busy at the time. He was in a festival in Greece, and then he forgot to send a piece for the concert. So the organizer was a bit annoyed, and then he contacted me and said like, well, we saw that you are a composer. Do you have a string quartet? I said, I didn't have. But I said, absolutely, yes, I have a string quartet. So he said to me like, oh, if we like it, you can play with your string quartet because we need to cover 5 minutes of music because you didn't send the composition. I said, absolutely. Send us tomorrow so we can check. I didn't have the string quartet. I never composed a string quartet in my life. So I said, but I cannot lose this occasion. It's like important.
Yeah.
So I work day and night, 24 hours. I took one of my improvisation for solo violin, and I make a string quartet. And I was postponing the deadline in 1 day, 2 days. Said, oh no, sorry, I don't have connection. I cannot send it.
Yeah.
So I was working on it, and then I make a string quartet in 2 days, and then I played it. Was a YouTube live podcast broadcast, and then in the audience there was John Rutter, Sir John Rutter, that is like one of the biggest composers of England. He's 90 now, and then after I played this quartet, he stand up and started a standing ovation for me and my quartet. That was, I believe, that was absolutely the highlight of my life, because was incredibly emotional. I still remember that feeling was incredible. And then from that concert, I still receive royalties from the composers, PRS for music composers, because it was an important event. So yeah.
I mean, that is absolutely incredible. And the fact that you had firstly never composed a string quartet before, and secondly you did it in 2 days is
it was emotion. It was incredible. I mean, like, I was very motivated, because I couldn't lose the occasion. Sometimes when you have now it takes more, because but in that moment I was really like, I said, like, I need to take this train. I cannot lose the train. No.
So you mentioned previously that you won your bow in a competition, but tell me a bit more about your violin.
So, as I was telling you before, that when I was 11, my parents bought for me this Ferrari to play. And then, so I played it for 28 years now. No, for 26 years.
Yeah.
And in these years, I also got big offer for it. So people want to buy it because it's a good value. And then, but I always declined. And even if a few times I was playing, I was offered to play violins of hundreds of £1,000, but I always come back to my violin because he's like my son, he's my baby. So I grew up with him, he grew up with me, so he's a very emotional value. So I don't know if at some point I will change it, but I believe that I'm very connected to it, to him, to it. I don't know what to say. Like, for me, it's like a person. So.
I mean, it's not just an instrument. It's got a whole, sentimental value to it. And the violin has been with you throughout this entire journey.
Absolutely, it's like a part of the body. No, it's because I played it for. I mean, I can say like for more than 50,000 hours. So I counted because 3 to 6 to 9 hours per day for 28 years. So it's something like that. So it's like I know him eat like me, more than me. Yeah.
My final question for you is, what are your career goals and ambitions for 2024?
So, as a Napoletan, we are very scaramantic. So I have something very important that is coming soon, but no one knows, apart just probably 1-2 person.
Yeah.
But then another important goal for 2024 is to make this duo trio with Meda and Patrick, because we can have more concerts come out in the future. So that will be very exciting, because Patrick is also incredibly talented musician. So I already played with him a few times, and then with Meda and him, I think that we can make very important music, gigs, concerts, and everything.
I mean, I absolutely agree, and I'm very excited to see what comes from that. I'm sure many beautiful things will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Raffaele, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you. And before you go, would you, by any chance, like to play a bit of violin for us?
Absolutely. So for you, I would like to play a part of my first composition, the Catharsis Mine that I was telling you before, that was very emotional.
And we've heard all about about it, and now we're gonna hear it live. So very
Absolutely.
exciting.
Absolutely. Will be my pleasure. All right. So.
Wow. Just wow.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Raffaele, and appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your incredible talent with us so much.
Thank you for inviting me.